Hi guys, here goes. I am scared and excited because a couple of weeks ago I did a video where I went into, a bit of prehistory and what it means to me. And I also mentioned a couple of things about Africa and, really wanting to reach out to African people and culture because I really wanted to learn more about them and learn from them and share in their what they have to give, right? And it was a pretty emotional moment in the video. And I was kind of asking the universe to give me a sign. And the sign has come, which I think is just, there you can see we're not the boss. I am definitely not the boss in in my life. Oh my God, no. So I committed to this adventure that is going on the tube at the moment, which is called Kwanzaa. And I will put a link down below to the first episode on Oh Yes Girl. I hope I pronounced that right. Her channel, where she goes into this in a lot of detail, and she also explains, what you're supposed to do and some of the tools that you can use, etc. And especially, of course, she goes into a lot of detail about the tarot spreads that we can use for each of those 7 consecutive days. And each time there is a different focus, and you get 7 spread positions for every day. So that's a lot of cards, right? And that's quite intensive. So I decided to somehow it's got me hooked. I'm just on this hook here, and all I can do is just come along because I wanted this. So here goes, right? And so the first day and the first set of questions in the series is about unity. And I have been going on about unity on my own channel, rather in a different setting, I think. Maybe because of where I come from, really. And to me, unity is a vibration that can be shared, certainly, with people or with other energies, but it's something that I have had to search for. And once I have found it, it turns out that it is really quite essential to me. But it is never a collective, social, human thing. Because all I see when I look at people out there, and that includes myself really as a historical person and a body, is separation, fragmentation, and suffering and loneliness as a consequence. It is our human MO. That's just the way it works. And we wouldn't be aware or become aware, we wouldn't be able to become aware of unity and all its blessings if we hadn't first been separated out, processed out of whatever thing we have been hidden inside for so long and with so much struggle and pain. So to me, that's a bit of an introduction right there. I will go into my cards. The first card, my attitudes and beliefs towards unity, is this one. The Knight of Wands. In some way, I think it's hysterical. Because if there's one card that is not about a collective or doing things together and togetherness and feeling at ease with your fellow man, I would think it'd be this one. An extra detail about this card is that last year in the summer, I did a search throughout my deck, the Marielle Tarot, you see, for the Soul card, which is a process that is described on Simon Harrison's channel, The Hermit's Cave. Somewhere in there, you'd have to look for it. And I had quite a bit of a challenge towards the end to decide between either this card or the Sun card. And it was really, for about half an hour or so, it was like a tug of war inside of me, because both cards were almost equally important. And at the end, the Sun won out, because it's kind of what I want to be more than this. But it was really a very fine line, and it won like by a toenail. It won. But I'm quite fond of this card, really, because it's about finding the self, and it's found in the dark. At least that's what happens to me, and from what I've heard of other people, it's the same for you guys. So there you are. In the deep of separation, turns out that there's unity. So going out from there, you get all these levels of where you can improve the sense of unity in your direct surroundings, and going out from there, really. So what I get is 9 of Discs, which I think is a very nice card. And I suppose the baseline for a number of these cards is really responsibility. Being a responsible person. Next card is the Moon. And that was not the professional card, that's this one. The Moon, I have to do this from memory now, is about people more in general around me, where what I see often, because I'm an astrologer, I have been astounded again and again at the number of times that the actual astrological moon and or the lunar apogee, as you've seen on my channel, interferes with what people are doing and feeling, and how they are reacting to each other, and so on. So I'm kind of getting that the Moon card here certainly has to do with how I turn that into compassion, because it used to be all about the knowledge for me, knowledge of the patterns, and impersonal, really, because this is where I come from. I do not have a collective base inside of me, not historically anyway. I am 52 years old, and I've walked this planet for about half a century without any family other than my husband, who provides for me, and his relatives, who are very different from my own. And I have had to sort of excavate with a pick and a hammer, like that, like a dwarf, my own memories and my own I suppose fossilized emotional life that was lost in all those years of traveling, moving house again and again, with a mother who was an invalid, and really hardly ever anybody else. And my parents, both of my parents, didn't have, I don't know, what you'd call the relating gene. I do not think that my mother ever spared a thought to what I needed, other than food and sleep and clean clothes and that type of thing. I have told myself in the past year again and again that nobody had told her either. Nobody had looked after her emotionally either. So I am not about to blame her now. I'm not going to start doing that now. But I am in a position where I am quite upset, and I feel hurt because of this. And it's all part of the big story. It's just all part of this tale, right? And it has brought me a wealth of ideas, and I have tried for very many hours and years and days to be a good girl and to think about things and to meditate and find peace and silence in my own way, just like so many of us. And nowadays I'm sharing this on the tube, which is a blessing because I get to interact with people who are actually, following their own paths in similar ways. And because of the cards, it is so easy to share certain images. And this one, for example, is my next card. And this is the professional card, actually, where it shows the Eight of Wands is like a guardian. And that appeals to me no end. Because then I can be a guardian. Like Jack Frost, but less cold. Maybe a guardian of dreams or a guardian of some sort. And I'm starting to kind of believe in that. And especially because in there I can also see my own painting activities, which is what I really love to do most of all. And what I inherited from my parents as well is the creative gene, because we got lots of that. We couldn't talk, we couldn't relate properly, we couldn't care for each other, but we were creative. And yeah, so from there, up to that point, it's kind of okay, it's kind of cool. And I can, after a bit of, back and forth with myself, I can kind of, understand these cards. And then it gets, going outward from there, it gets a bit more, what I would call abstract, and gets a bit more complicated. Maybe I get the King of Cups and the Empress, and it's kind of cool because the way they showed up in my cards is like this. Then they are looking at each other, and I didn't really see, this is the Nation card, and so this is like an intermediary level, more like community, being part of a community, which is something I have a very hard time imagining, that I'm actually part of a group of people in any way other than you guys. Yeah, then okay. But what struck me about this card is that he's really like a Neptune, a god of the sea, and of course cups, element, water, etc. And he's got 5 blue lotuses surrounding him, so he's not in seawater because there is no lotuses growing in the sea. But never mind the details. He's got a trident and a beard, and in many respects he looks like Neptune. And because we live quite close to the sea in the Netherlands, and because I have been very interested in our own culturally personal historical goddess of Nehelenia, whose shrines have been found in the western part of this country, hundreds of those shrines, of those stone little, little buildings like that. And they're displayed in a museum that we visited a couple of months ago. Because of all that, and then the link to the sea, I kind of felt that it'd be cool to make the Empress, which is my nation contribution card, right? Could be like a Nehelenia type goddess. This card would justify for me to go much deeper into my Nehelenia nature, my actual Dutch nature. That freaks me out no end. Oh God. For some reason, it means I am not a Celt. I am sort of 2/3 Germanic. That's not a nice word, whether I think that I'm comfortable using at all. We don't know who we are racially. We have no idea. I have no country that I come from, especially because I was born in this country and then I moved about 20 times around Europe. So I have kind of grown up with Jewish sort of hand-me-down Jewish culture without any religious aspects, only the talk and the art and the general qualities, I don't know, humor, sense of humor, sense of a couple of things, artistry, and not any sense of money, never. Um, you know, and I descend from circus people in the way in the distance before the war, way before the war. So I haven't really got any. All I've got that is really Dutch, I suppose, is a rather a big heap of common sense. I mean, you need a lot of common sense to be an empress. What does that mean? What does that mean? I think it's very interesting anyway. And going beyond that, we still have a seventh card. And the seventh card is how you connect, how you can improve your, what was it? Cohesion, unity, right? With the human race as a whole. And I get the Three of Swords. So, which I interpret now as to mean that every type of suffering, every single type of suffering that I carry within me, I can find out there with you guys. Maybe one on this side and another bit on that side and another bit over there. But that is, we share. We are much more the same than that we are different. And so going from this rather vague and theoretical goddess aspect, because I wasn't brought up with any religion. I was not brought up with churches or any of it. In recent years, because we live in a part of the country, my husband and I, that is Catholic, I love to visit little shrines, preferably by the roadside, well-kept little Catholic shrines to Mother Mary, and we will always light a candle there and, make sure everything's neat and orderly. And we love to just, preferably, sit there for 5 minutes and listen to the birds sing outside. That does me the world of good. My mum was not a type for that type of thing. So in my back of my mind, she goes, niggle, niggle, the niggle, the niggle, because you're being a Catholic and all that. And it doesn't have anything to do with that at all to me, because it's always only really the mother statues, the mother goddess, mother, earth mother, mysterious, behind the scenes, deeply hidden cause, origin of life. So, yeah, that okay. Maybe because I've been alone a long time, I can imagine those things really, really well for myself. So here's Kwanzaa day 1. My cards, and I'm actually very happy with them because they acknowledge and they sort of break it up into aspects like that. Quite a bit of my social problems, which aren't really problems anymore, because since I'm out here and I'm doing this, I suppose most of the problems have been solved, which has been my MO most of my life. I only come out even asking for things when I've already found quite a large part of my own solution, because I want to do everything for myself. There you go. So, what can I say? Nice cards, really nice cards. So that's day 1, and I am committed, I think. So we will see whether I make it all the way down to 7, and I'll be seeing you in the second episode at some point or other. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.